Attention everybody, the views expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, here's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, Tony Hammock.
That intro keeps getting better each and every week. Thank you, Matt. That's very nice, and we appreciate it and stuff. I'm really excited this morning. I've got a guest standing by, and we're starting just a little bit late, but for all the right reasons. Matt was kind of getting us tuned up with Skype and a few other things that are new to the show. But hopefully you're having a great morning out there. I know here in Springfield it's like 27 degrees, a nice crisp Ozark morning. Although I'm not going to get much sympathy from our guest. She's from Billings, Montana. Sharon, are you with us?
Yes, Tony, I sure am.
Well, this is Sharon Volz. She has a lot of energy. V-O-L-T-Z. Yes. And she's from Billings. And this is her second time on our show. She was on, I want to say back in September. And she not only is from Billings, Montana, she has been a preacher for 42 years. Sharon?
Yes?
42 years.
You kind of cut out there for a minute.
Yeah. But we'll keep going forward here, and we'll see. If we cut out any more, we'll just switch to the straight phone. But 42 years. She's been serving the Lord, and also she has been with 7K Metals. Aha! That's something you folks are probably recognizing, 7K Metals. I spent a lot of time last week talking about some of their features and benefits. But she's been with 7K Metals now for what, 3 years, Sharon?
3 years this month.
Oh, wow. So, and I mean, she is very good testimonial to not only the Lord, but to 7K Metals, because she's had some life-changing experiences. And rather than me ramble on, we've got you on for a reason. We want to hear from you, Sharon. So tell us, bring us up to date on what's going on in your world with 7K Metals.
Well, 7K Metals has just been totally life-changing for me, Tony. For those that maybe didn't hear my testimony, just real quick, having been in ministry all those years, I didn't have much Social Security built up, so I had no retirement. I turned 75 this month, and 3 years ago, lack and poverty were chasing me down, even though God has been very good to me. Traveled all over the world. He always took care of it, but there wasn't any excess. And so when this company was introduced to me, I knew that I would influence a lot of people if I got into it. So I said, well, I gotta pray about this first. And that week, as I was praying, I was just reading my regular Bible reading, and it's where Jacob told the 10 sons to go into Egypt and to buy grain because there was a famine. Well, that word grain in cities. So I looked at that story, and I realized, oh, my goodness, they had to obey an instruction. They had to go somewhere they'd never been before. They had to do something they'd not done before. They had to get out of their comfort zone, and they had to make a little investment. And we know the story. They went and got the grain, and on the way back, they opened their sacks, and their money was in the top of the sacks. And the Lord spoke to my heart and said, you're going to need to make an investment. You need to get out of your comfort zone and do some things you haven't done before, but you'll get your money back. And within 2 weeks, I had my initial investment back, and the last 3 years have been just life-changing. I've got 3 generations that are earning income through this company. And so that's kind of how I got into this, Tony. And today, 3 years into it, it's still, I'm just getting my taxes ready to get. I almost doubled what I made last year, the year before. So it's growing and it's going, and it's for everybody. It's for males, females, 18 years. We've got them up to 90, 92 on my network. So a life-changing company.
Well, and I can understand why now, since I've been kind of tracking along with you since, I want to say, what was that, September?
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. Well, and let's for those of the viewers that haven't maybe heard of 7K before, and a little refresher for those that have. Let's get into just a little bit about what 7K is. It's is it like a discount club or?
You're actually able to buy gold and silver at dealer cost. What 7K Metals buys it from the mint for, they sell it directly to us. So we can buy bullion, buy bars. We can buy one coin, or we can buy thousands of coins, and the price doesn't change. So anybody that just wants to buy, they can get a membership and they can buy at cost and pay no markup like you would with others. Or if you want to earn an income, that's why I got into it. You can also build up an income through it. It's a binary. There's two teams. You have a right team and a left team, and you get points for memberships and you get points for the autosaver club that they do on a monthly basis. And when you get 500 points left, 500 points right, you get a $500 check. So the pay is phenomenal. You can go all the way up to $12,500 a week now with this company. When it started, you could only make $1,000.
Well, and
because they're growing and because it's go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to volunteer. The thing, I guess, to me it sounds like, is it's kind of like Sam's Club, because I know my wife and I think we paid like $100 for the one membership, and if we don't use it, it's like, oh my gosh, $100, we don't have anything to show for it. But I got to tell you, we use Sam's almost daily. Their pharmacy is phenomenal. The gas is usually less expensive than any place else in town, and then of course everything inside the store is usually at a phenomenal price and stuff like that. So we more than cover our $100 investment. And I know with 7K, there's 3 memberships, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
Yeah. Do you want to go through those real quick, or do you want to just talk about?
Yeah, you could start for we call them good, better, best. The good you can get in for $199. The better, it's $359, and then the premium is $499. And with those, you get coins, you get travel savers cards that help you with motel rates and rent cars and vacation packages. And those are just perks on top of it. So the memberships, where can you start a business for $500 or less a month and have all the tax write-offs that you get from a personalized business as well? Plus, you can write off your membership and your coin of the month because it's part of your membership.
Well, and I got to tell you, the Coin of the Month Club is one of those sneaky features because, at first I was like, oh my gosh, and there's 3 versions of the Coin of the Month Club, by the way, folks. I mean, you can do the least expensive one, which is $95 a month, and it's for a Silver Eagle coin. And then there's the next one. I can't remember, Sharon. What is the next one? Is it $159?
$129, and that's a variety coin. All of these are MS-70s, so they're mint state perfect, and so they're historically have gained in value.
Yeah, and then that last one is the $299, but it's for the gold coin. And see, I kind of switched to gold here last month, just because I'm a big believer in gold. In fact, a little bit later in the show, we'll get into some pricing, and gold yesterday had a really nice day. I think it was up like $20 an ounce.
That's correct.
Yeah. The Coin a Month Club is one of the nice features. There are a couple other features, though, with 7K Metals that I'm starting to really benefit from. Sharon, you still with us?
Yeah, you kind of blanked out there for a minute, Tony.
Yeah. Is there a way we can switch to the phone?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it.
Hey, Sharon, I'm going to call you right back on the phone.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Where's that little cord thing?
Yeah, it's plugged into my computer. Give me just a second.
Sorry, folks. We were trying to run this on Skype for the first time ever, and for whatever reason.
Yesterday, I don't know what's.
Yeah, well, no harm.
All right,
We're just going to make a transition real quick because Sharon's message is strong enough. I'd like to finish what we were going to talk about there.
Looked at it. Everybody, just letting you know, it's going to go. Silent for just a second. Should be good.
Testing.
Hello there.
Hey there. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, I was just explaining to our viewing audience that we were trying to be a little bit ambitious there with having the broadcast and your call, I should say, coming through on Skype, and for whatever reason we were getting some weird feedback. So I apologize, folks. We're going to go back to the old-fashioned way, which is just over the phone. Hopefully, one of these days we can convince Sharon to come to Springfield, Missouri. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
She's out of Billings, Montana and stuff. But as I said while we were making the transition, her message is strong enough. I did want to try and make sure we could get her back on the phone here and just kind of finish up with the interview. And where I was going, I think, when we got kind of interrupted there was that, there are some other features and benefits with 7K that I think are incredible. I mean, one is the 7K getaway. I don't know if you want to maybe answer or kind of cover how that works at all, Sharon?
Well, the 7K getaway, with your membership and your autosaver, when you buy that coin every month, you get a travel discount card, and it gives you motel rate off of motel rates and rent cars. And all you do, anybody can use them. You can give them away as gifts. You can help out people that have to travel for various reasons. But you just go to 7K Getaway, you put in your information and a number on the back of the card, and then you can go into any city and check out the motel rates that would be like a Travelocity price, and you can pop in your 7K thing, and it'll show you how much on top of that you would save. So, for instance, I stayed down in Waco, and I saved $38 a night, so it subtracted $38 off of my 7K Getaway card. And then the balance I put on my credit card, so when I got to the motel, my room was all taken care of. They just gave me my key.
Yeah, well, I've had some success using 7K Getaway myself. But when it comes to travel, she's not going to say anything about this unless I ask. But didn't you recently go to the Promised Land?
I did.
Tell us just briefly, how'd that turn out?
Well, it's my third trip there. So I love going to Israel every time. It's just life-changing. There's any terrain that you've ever seen that you loved, whether it's mountains with the pine cones and the snow, or the clear oceans with the pure white sand, and everything in between you can see in that little strip of Israel. They've got the Badlands, they've got the farmlands, they've got the mountains and the snows and the beaches. It's life-changing. And then every time I've gone, one significant thing would stand out to me, like the first time I went, Masada just changed my life, because when I learned the story of Masada and the price that God's people paid to be, pure for Him, made me realize a lot of choices every day. How strong are my choices? Would I stand for the God of Israel the way those people did? And so, if you ever get a chance to go to the Promised Land, it's life-changing.
Well, I know you were excited to go and tired when you got home and stuff like that, but I didn't realize it was your third trip.
Yes, and I got to go with 3 generations. I went with 2 of my 3 daughters and 1 granddaughter. So,
oh my goodness,
that's especially special.
Yeah, really. Well, speaking of special, some of these other features and benefits, just real quick while we still got you on the air. The one that's starting to really intrigue me is this 7K Health. And kind of what I understand is if you are involved with 7K and doing it as a business, like Sharon does, you can get covered with this 7K Health. And it's not health insurance per se, but what it is, they've teamed up with SBA Freedom Health out of Colorado, I believe it is. And these folks specialize in small business owners and providing them with a way to have some coverage. And so there's single plans, there's family plans, and there's just some really neat things that go along with that. But I think from what I recall, there's like 33 million Americans that don't have any kind of health coverage at all. And I don't know. Do you know anybody that's gone in and activated that and used that, Sharon?
I have heard people talking about it. I don't know, just on the calls.
Yeah.
But I haven't met anybody in our area that is on it yet.
Well, I got to tell you, just from some of my recent experiences, a lot of people don't realize I had surgery on my neck February 4th. And so, we had to play the deductible game and all this kind of stuff with the health insurance we've got through my wife's employer. And, it's a game. I mean, it really is anymore. And I got to tell you, if you don't have any kind of coverage, you're not getting a chance to play the game with all the right tools, because it's not like it used to be. But anyway, that's a whole other call, a whole other story, all those kinds of things. I know that Sharon has had some fun and experience. Do you have any particular story or testimony, third-party testimony that you can share with us that might, make a big impact?
As far as the travel or
the 7K?
Yeah. Well, every day I talk to people that, can't give enough thanks to this company. This company is constantly growing and changing and adding benefits for us, so that it's it's taking care of all of the needs, not just the opportunity to save gold and silver, because our fiat currency is not going to be there forever to take care of us. And anybody that has taken the time to really research this company, and then they dive off the cliff and say, okay, I'm going to give it a go. I thought, Tony, if I don't make my money back in a year, I just won't renew. Well, my goodness, within a couple weeks I had my money back, and I never had anything to give to my kids as an inheritance. Now my kids are in it, so they're going to get their own inheritance, but it's still going to have something left over for them to have as well. And people in their later years are so thankful. The hard ones to reach are the younger ones, getting them to realize, give up a few Starbucks, give up a few Red Bulls or whatever you might, be given to on a daily basis, and start putting a coin a month away. And so, yeah, the testimonies of people just, when you stop and think, would $500 a month change you at all? Would it help in any way? And then when you realize you can do that on a weekly basis, and then all the way up to $12,500 on a weekly basis, there's no limit to this. So here I am at 75, and I'm realizing the best is yet to come.
Well, and and listening to your comments there, especially about the younger generation, that kind of reminds me of that. Don't make the $1.2 million mistake. And
yes,
when I first heard that, I was kind of like, what, and stuff like that. But do you want to share with our audience how that works, or how it?
Well, if we'd have bought one of these Silver Eagle, an MS-70, mint state perfect, meaning there's absolutely no flaws in it. It's in a plastic case. It's never been touched by human hands. They started mending those in 1986. If we'd have bought one of those a month, every month for $100 a month up to today from 1986, we'd have spent, around $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
But those coins today are worth $1.2 million.
I know, and and I got to tell you, I was really skeptical when I first heard that, but I'm one of these guys, I always get out there and do some research and all this kind of stuff, and she's not pulling your leg, folks. I mean, what's interesting is the different years, which years have, gotten the most valuable. Like, for example, in fact, Sharon and I were just talking about this yesterday afternoon when I asked her if she could jump on the show this morning. Let me see, what is it, 1996? Those coins, I think, on a monthly basis, are over $6,000, maybe $7,000 a coin now. And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon. I'm kind of going from memory here. And then the 1999 coins. Now, this is per month. This isn't like for the whole year of 1999. But one of those 1999 coins right now, Sharon, how much would it be worth?
They're worth. I just drew a blank.
Well, I think we
It's
decided
huge.
it was like 19,000.
19,000.
Yeah. And per coin.
19,000.
So let's say 20,000, 240, $228,000 for 12 coins from 1999. And weren't you saying it was because that was the
Well, that was Y2K.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
So there wasn't as much minting going on, and you never know how many are going to turn out perfect. That also has a lot to do with it. Some years you might get, like right now, I didn't realize this, but the mints redo their presses or whatever they call them, and so your first coins in a year are going to be a lot crisper, and there'll be a lot more MS70s at the very beginning of the year than later on, just because of the print won't come out as pure once the press is wore down or whatever they call that.
Well, I got to tell you, I am thrilled so far with the results of my interest and exposure to 7K metals, and I am really grateful you were able to jump on this morning, Sharon. I know it was with short notice and stuff like that, but I do know you've got a busy morning, so I'm going to let you skedaddle and all that kind of stuff. But thank you so much for
Okay.
jumping on here. I apologize for our audio troubles and stuff. Next time it won't be that way. Matt's usually pretty good about integrating new technology into our show and stuff. So we're only going to get better.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely. Well, you have a great day, and I just pray your folks check out 7K and get back with you on it.
okay. Thanks so much, Sharon Volts from Billings, Montana. Thank you so much, Sharon.
You bet.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If anybody liked what Sharon had to say and would like to talk to her further about 7K, shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll get you her email address and phone number. It just dawned on me we didn't really share that while we had her on the line there and stuff. But it's Sharon Volts from Billings, Montana, and she is just a really nice person. I've really gotten a kick out of getting to know her since September. But what I thought I would do in the time we've got is let's get into some of our housekeeping. And one of the housekeeping things I thought we would jump to real quick is this update on the pricing, because yesterday was quite an interesting day for the precious metals. And so, like right now, if you look at the precious metals as of 9:31 this morning, gold is now up to $1,607.30. It's up another $5.10 today. Now, these are per ounce, these prices. Silver is up another 11 cents. It's up to $18.36. Platinum is up another $14. It's up to $1,009 per ounce. Palladium is up another 82. It's up to $2,748 an ounce. And rhodium is up another $300. To buy rhodium, you'd have to spend $12,000 per ounce. That's right, $12,000 per ounce. I think, some of these, like the gold and the silver, I believe the reason for yesterday's increase and so forth is more information coming out of China with this coronavirus. And, Apple Computer made a big announcement yesterday about missing earnings for the quarter and the impact to not only their production, but the consumption of their products over in China due to this coronavirus. So, Godspeed as far as them finding a solution so more people don't suffer. But needless to say, there's a lot of folks in the world that are starting to look for safe havens for their money, and gold and silver usually is the first two they look at. As far as the palladium and the rhodium, and possibly the platinum, but I think the play there is that all of those are used in manufacturing catalytic converters for cars. And I believe in Africa is where the main mines for palladium and rhodium are. And Africa, I believe, has a water issue, and some of the mines have literally been shut down. So, here you've got this ever-increasing demand for automobiles, and obviously they need catalytic converters, and the supply is getting smaller and smaller. And, we've talked about this on the show before. A lot of things in our world are based on supply and demand. And so if we have an ever-increasing demand and a decreasing supply, we know what happens. The price goes up. So I think that's what's happening there. As far as the base metals, copper is $2.58 a pound. Now we switched from ounces to pounds. And nickel is $5.76 a pound. Aluminum's up to $1.02. Zinc is 96 cents. Lead is 86 cents. And uranium is $24.60 a pound. Oil is now $52.56 a barrel. This is for crude oil. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average this morning so far as of 9:32 is up 72.5 points to bring it to 29,304. So it was quite an interesting day yesterday. I had a lot of people that were texting me in the afternoon and calling and emailing and stuff about gold, because I think gold ended up jumping up yesterday about $20 an ounce, which is a significant jump. I mean, usually if it goes up $1 or two, people are excited, and for it to jump 20, is quite a bit. So the reason I'm sharing that is don't be surprised if you don't see some pullback. I mean, we've talked about it before. There's folks that invest in gold and silver for the right reasons, which, it's to diversify their portfolio, it's to hedge their world, so to speak, and it's a long hold. They're going to keep it probably forever. And then there's other people that are, kind of looking at the short-term opportunity. So a lot of times you've got these speculators that'll jump in with news like yesterday's, and, the minute there's news that's, different, opposite, they'll take and sell out. So, I mean, there's always going to be some volatility, but as we've talked about before, we can make volatility our friend. We can have a systematic approach to adding gold and silver to our portfolios. And that way, if the price is up, yes, we buy less, but we're getting it into the portfolio. And then those times where the price is lower, it's not so much a time to be depressed, but it's a time to be excited because you're adding more gold. And I've got a lot of people that, $100 a month, $500 a month, $250 a month, and it's just like clockwork, and so that way we're doing what they call dollar cost averaging, so that the average price is always less than the average cost. I see Matt back here in the room. Are we going to have a golden microphone moment?
Yes,
Oh,
I believe so.
There we go. Hey, my intuition was working.
Your intuition? Tuition's usually expensive.
It's going up.
I don't know how much the intuition is. Anyways, let me merge on over. Hey, everybody. Matt here from the producer's desk here at Axe Media Group headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tony, thank you for your continuous good work on the show. And I appreciate you guys' patience as far as the Skype phone call and stuff. I think I may have had a setting wrong or something. I don't know what it is. But we'll get the bugs ironed out. Now, today's show, I got a lot more windows here to surf through, is brought to you by naturalsolutionstore.bz. And today's product I'm going to feature is Super Hemp Balm. So look at this. If you've got aches and pains, if you've got, yeah, that thing makes some noise too. If you've got headaches, you can rub it on your temple and it'll help your headache, depending on where the headache is. Most of the time, you can put it in the location of the headache and it makes it go away. I know personally, my back was hurting really, really bad, and I couldn't hardly move at all. And finally, I put some of this stuff on it, tried it for the first time, and less than 10 minutes later, my back stopped hurting, folks. This stuff is good stuff. Now, you can buy hemp balm in other places, but you won't find the quality and the effectiveness of any other brand except for this one on naturalsolutionstore.bz. So go online, naturalsolutionstore.bz, and pick up a jar of Super Hemp Balm today. Back to you there, Tony.
Thank you, Matt. I was just looking for some verses here on stewardship in my program and stuff. And I came across a couple of ones. Here's Luke 16:3. Then the steward said within himself, "What shall I do? For my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship. I cannot dig to beg, I am ashamed." Let me see. Luke 16:4. I am resolved what to do, that when I am put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. Here's what I'm looking for. Let's see if I can find the one I had earlier here. Let's do this one. This one looks fun. TGIF, today God is first. I like that. TGIF, today God is first.
You know, real quick, that noise it's making, if you're done with your phone, just unplug it.
Oh.
If you plan on, there you go. I'll take care of that.
Okay,
Sorry.
we've got that done. Let's do this one. This one looks like a blast. Okay, and it looks like this one has several lessons. Today's lesson will be day 1 of 12. So this will cover us for several shows. Let's see what this one has to say.
12 to be exact.
Yes, sir. Okay, receiving only from God. God never gave you the property, said my friend who had entered my life at a time of great turmoil. These were hard words at the time. I was separated in my marriage, and my financial resources were drying up on all fronts. It was like rowing a boat with 5 big holes in it, not knowing which one to try to plug. My business, my personal finances, my marriage all seemed to be drying up at the same time. My friend had made an observation about some land we had purchased years before. His point was that I had acquired something that God had never given me. In other words, it was not a spirit-directed purchase that was blessed by God. It was not a byproduct of God's blessing. It was a source of sweat and toil born out of the wrong motives of the heart. When John's disciples came to him and asked if he was the Messiah, he responded that he was not, and that one could only be what God had given him to be. He was a forerunner to the Messiah, and he was fulfilling a call God had given him. We cannot acquire and become anything that God has not given us. God gave John that anointing. We must ask whether we are trying to be or trying to acquire anything God has not given us. When we seek to acquire anything that God has not given us, we can expect God to respond to us like any good father would to a child. He will remove that which the child is not supposed to have. David understood this principle. When he was preparing to furnish the temple, he told God in his prayer, everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. 1 Corinthians 29:14. So I think that's a good way to start with this one. As I said, this one's called Today God is First, and it's a course on money and stewardship. And I know that, just real quick, I can kind of relate to that in my life, in the fact that there's been times where I just, really, really wanted something and, could not take no for an answer. And then the minute I got it, it didn't really fill that void or that spot in my world that I was hoping it would. And then eventually, it would I would sell it off or lose it or something like that. So this particular lesson does have some meaning for me as far as where I came from and stuff. But anyway, that's the devotional. We've already gone through the pricing. I will tell you, there's several articles out there that I would be happy to send anybody that's interested as far as what's going on in the world. I mean, you've got several factors now happening together at the same time. And any one of these by themselves probably would not be a reason to be alarmed, but there's just a lot happening at the same time, so it may be a prudent thing to kind of, pay attention and so forth. One is, not to be redundant, but the coronavirus over in China. I mean, the number of deaths daily is mounting. The number of people that are carrying it at this point is growing, and the world is racing. I know that over here, we've got a couple of different scientists that are racing to find a solution for the coronavirus. I mean, it's still not as deadly as like the virus or the flu we had. What was it? The German flu or something we had back in 1918. Where there was millions of people that passed away, but still, this is still early, and they really don't have a solution. So for one thing, please be cautious. And I know myself, I was planning on a trip which would have involved me getting on an airplane here in March. And yesterday I was talking to my wife, and we decided I'm going to take a pass on this, just because I don't want to be in an airplane where you're stuck with all that recirculated air. And so anyway, that's just me being overly cautious and stuff. But you've got that. You've got the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve, continuing to print money. There's a lot of articles right now out on that one topic I talked about 2 months ago, where all of a sudden the Fed started buying those repos. And we're not talking about repossessed cars or something. A repo is a financial instrument that the Fed uses with banks to create short-term liquidity. And all of a sudden, the Fed started just buying, billions of dollars worth, and they still are, because they see that if they're not, there is some liquidity issues on the short-term basis for most of the major banks in the United States. So that's still happening. The printing of the money makes the dollar, every day just a little less valuable. We've talked about that before, where from 1913 to today, the dollar's lost something like 96% of its purchasing value. And, hopefully you folks, can relate to that with some of the things that you do day in, day out. The cost of heat, the cost of medical care. Matt was joking a little while ago when I said intuition. He talked about tuition. I mean, tuition in this country is up 151% to, have your son or daughter go to school, unless they're bright enough to get some scholarships. And I mean, that's a wonderful thing, but you still got some other expenses to go along with that. I mean, there's room and board, there's books, there's transportation. I mean, it's just, we've got 4 boys, and we've just been very blessed, because the oldest one, got 5 scholarships and pretty much worked his way through college. And we've got 2 more that are college age, and then we've got the little guy who's in 6th grade. So, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, as far as how to handle the ever-rising increase in tuition in this country. I will tell you, I got a little crazy on you. I bought a new money clip, and it's a 7K money clip. And so you can see there's, the size of a silver dollar, and it's got 7K in gold here and so forth. So not that I have that much money to clip, but I did get a money clip that I can, when I am out, buying breakfast or whatever I'm getting and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me a little bit about some of the fun things with the 7K metals. And, I'm not exclusively promoting 7K. It's just that, like in the last show last week, I've used several companies over the last half dozen years, and there's just 2 that have kind of, risen to the top. One is 7K for folks like you and I, where, we need to do it a coin a month and that kind of stuff. And then the other one is the National Gold Consultants out of Minnesota, where, if you have a substantial amount of money that you want to hedge, Ryan Long with National Gold Consultants is very, very good at doing that. And, I believe there's like 13 wholesalers, for when the mint gets ready to bring out new gold and silver. And Ryan is a wholesaler. So anytime we deal with Ryan and his pricing, it's at a wholesale level and not retail. And trust me, if you're not careful, I mean, if nothing else from this show, do not go out and buy gold and silver anyplace else before checking with me and letting me check and see what we can price-wise get through 7K or through National Gold Consultants. Because based on the kind of gold and silver you're wanting to get and the volume, I can guarantee you their prices are probably going to be right there, at the top. So I just feel very, very confident, kind of mentioning them on the show in that way. I've seen time and time again, both entities come through with just some mind-blowing pricing and stuff. I'm still talking to a couple of companies as far as here locally that are 501c3 companies that, that means they're not for profit and using 7K in a fundraising format. And that would be really, really neat if they decide to do that, because, if we did, it not only would the 501c3 benefit because they would, increase their fundraising, but the folks that were making the transactions to create that fundraising would end up with a coin. And that's very neat, because these coins, not only do they add value to your portfolio, but over time they have done a very good job as far as performance. So anyway, probably enough about that. I'm trying to think if there's anything I left out of today's show so far, Matt. And we've got the golden microphone came in. We had Sharon.
Yeah.
We had Sharon call in and get some information from her. I know that a lot of people are watching the gold and silver industry, very closely right now because of this sudden increase in price. And I will tell you, there are people that I follow that are saying that this is just the start of ever increasing prices, at least for a while. I mean, on the one hand, I've got one gentleman who I'll leave unnamed for the moment that thinks that gold's going to get up to $25,000 an ounce. And I always have these people. There's some people on the extreme, and then there's some people all the way over here on the other end of the spectrum. And so I've got a gentleman over here that actually thinks gold's going to go down 54%. And then there's just a lot of people, kind of towards the middle that are thinking that you're going to see gold, for a lot of reasons, get up to about, definitely 2,000 an ounce, but maybe as high as 5,000. And, the bottom line is nobody really knows. And since nobody really knows, that's why I'm always talking about having a systematic approach to adding this to your portfolio. Just because that way, it takes the discipline issue out, it takes the emotional part of it out, it takes a lot of things out of the equation that normally are our biggest faults as humans. Because as I talked about on Steve's show Monday, Steve McAllister was nice enough to invite me to be on his show Monday morning. And if you haven't tuned in to Steve's show, you need to. I believe
Brighter Living Live is what his show is called.
Yeah, 9 o'clock on Monday mornings. It goes from 9 to 10. And so this last Monday, he was nice enough to have me on. I guess I'll have to have him on my show someday.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah. Well, today's a big day for him because he's got some medical tests that he's going through.
He's in a lot of pain, too, so pray for him.
Yeah, please do. He's a wonderful man, and Rachel, his wife, is very nice and stuff. But we had a good time on that show and talked about some of these things as far as the supply and demand of gold and the systematic approach and just basically taking the emotions out of the equation. Because I got to tell you, most people, when it comes to money, especially investing, it's fear and greed, or FOMO, the fear of missing out. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody has...
Did you say FOMO?
FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing
That's
out.
an acronym.
I know. And there's people that do that. I mean, I can't. Let's take Tesla stock, for example. Not that I'm pitching Tesla stock, that's not my objective of bringing that, but that's a current example. I mean, the stock keeps going up every day. And there's not really a lot of reasons why, as far as when you look at the balance sheet or the income statement. But most people have that fear of missing out. And so that's why they're jumping on board. So those are usually the emotions that come into play when we're talking about investing. And I like to, try and make it emotion free, so that it's just more or less kind of a disciplined, mechanical, thorough acquisition. And all the noise and so forth is just that. It's out here. You're not paying attention to it, because usually in the long run, when you are able to do that, you'll have times where you'll look at what you own and you'll go, thank goodness, or thank God, we've got 100 ounces of silver, or we've got, 25 ounces of gold, or something like that. So anyway, at that point, I'm looking at the clock. I know that we got a late start, but I also have another engagement I need to run to. So Matt's not giving me any signs, but I think I'm going to wrap it up, if that's okay with you.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to Sharon Volts. And as always, if you have any questions or constructive criticisms or whatever it may be, you're welcome to call me at 417-755-0700 or email me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.